What an amazing change just overnight. This is what I've woken up to. After yesterday's continuous downpouring rain, today there's even that strange little blob in the sky. And over there, today I can actually see where I'll be walking. It's going to be a great final day. I just know it. This morning I woke up to see this fantastic view of Cronkley Scar, which is part of Winsill, as I looked out of my bedroom window. It was totally covered in mist and cloud yesterday, so it's great seeing it now. The weather is cold, there is a wind today that there hasn't been before, but it's not raining. And that means I've got a far better chance perhaps of seeing where I'm going today, and that will be brilliant. This is where I waved goodbye to my fellow walker yesterday, as he committed himself to a further 12 miles through the rain to Dufton. And I made a beeline for my warm, cosy bed and breakfast. I'm sure he made it, but gosh, the weather was bad yesterday. The landscape here is completely different from anywhere else I've walked on this trail. I'm now in moorland and proper mountains. The mileage and ascent is similar to my walk from Barnard Castle to Middleton in Teesdale, but this time it's just a steady upward climb. And first of all, I'll be heading to Cauldron, Snout. Down on the River Tees, sparkling a bit in this watery sunlight. Today's my last day of walking alongside it, having joined it right down at the coast. It's been a long journey and a changing journey, and I've learned a lot by walking it in all sorts of ways. I'll definitely have a special place in my heart for this river. I've seen streams bigger than this joining the Tees as it's made its way down to the coast. How it's changed. The path here goes very close to the water edge, and I had similar sections towards the end of yesterday. I have walked in this area, and the river's been so high that it's completely covered the path, and you've needed to pick your way up across there, up there. So if you're planning this walk, it is worth considering when you do it. At the moment, although we've had lots of rain, the river is relatively low because we've had a very long, dry summer. But if you walk this route in March, April, or even May, you will find it quite different. So be prepared. And even when the river is this slow, some clambering over rocks is still required, so be prepared to take your time. Don't rush it. My last day, and I finally met some people who are doing the whole Teesdale Way. So why are you doing it?
Well, it's just another challenge. This is our 5th long distance walk this year.
5th this year?
Yeah, so this will be our last one this year. So I thought as the winter gets closer, we won't be able to do much more, so it's another challenge.
It's another challenge. A long way from Darley. Yeah, I live on the coast, so I don't get far either. Well, you're going to have a great time. I've really enjoyed it. So, thank you. Bye-bye. Ta-ta. Walking between September and October, I've frequently been struck by the beauty of the colours. And my final day, even though the landscape is very, very different, the colours are breathtakingly beautiful. I think those people up there are where I'll be heading after Cauldron Snout. I wonder if they're doing the Pennine Way or the Teesdale Way, or whether they're just out for a good day's walking. Well, I've worked out what they were looking at. This magnificent sight in front of me is Cauldron Snout. There are two paths Cauldron Snout. One goes right next to the waterfall and the other goes some distance away from it. And I don't mind admitting that I took the latter. They both involve a bit of scrambling. You're going to need to use your hands, I suppose. Well, I need to use my hands. But gosh, it's an exhilarating experience. I'm looking at Cowgreen Reservoir, and in the hills beyond it are a whole number of streams that feed into the reservoir, and one of them, perhaps the main one, is called the Tees. It rises in the hills up in the distance, and for geographers that would be the true starting point of the River Tees. When I realised that the Teesdale Way didn't go past the very start of the River Tees, I thought, well, I'll just have to go there myself. But I've thought about it since. It would take an extra day's walking, and I hadn't planned for that. I've spoken to people who've been there, and they've said it's as you'd expect it to be, really. It's a boggy expanse of nothingness, and depending on the time of year, there might not even be any water there to see. So I've decided against it, but it's also given me an idea on future plans, because I always say, the way to combat that feeling of low spirits that can come at the end of any long distance path, because you've got the exhilaration of, I finished it, and then that feeling of, I've enjoyed it so much and there's no more to go. The thing to do is to plan another one. And yesterday and today combined have made me realise that I really need to plan to do the Pennine Way sooner rather than later. So it's definitely moved up my to-do list, and when I do it, I'll make a little detour, and that way I'll be able to get to see the very start of the River Tees. But even after I've done that, I think that for me, and possibly for many people, the real start of the River Tees is just over that ledge there, and the huge drop into Cauldron's Snout, and the torrent of water that falls down and then flows through and grows and grows and grows and goes out into the sea. So, time for lunch before I go out into a very exposed stretch for my last bit of walking. I've been given an amazing packed lunch by the hotel, as well as sandwiches and biscuits and crisps. I've got a homemade cake, and I've got a locally produced Scotch egg. I don't think I'll eat all of this, but I'm sure it will come in handy eventually. I thought things were being amazingly straightforward. I've been on a gravel track since I left the dam, which has been really nice and straightforward, but I'm now moving away from that over what looks like a clear path, but possibly a bit boggy too. I've no idea what those are, but they're very beautiful, and it's amazing that things can grow in such a desolate place. I've just been talking to a couple of young lads who are the first people I've seen since I left the reservoir and Cauldron Snout. They're walking back from High Cupnick, and they say there are quite a number of people up there. I don't know if they'll still be there when I get there. You wonder where they come from, because the lad said they saw no one on their way there either. Perhaps they've all walked up from Dufton. And this is High Cupnick, possibly one of the most wondrous views in all of England. And what an end to a day, what an end to a long distance path. The people I met earlier today were starting their Teesdale Way journey at Cauldron Snout, which makes sense. That's a very definite marker for the start of the River Tees. And if I was walking west to east, I possibly would have done that too. But walking east to west, I had that wow moment climbing up the side of the waterfall. And then I've had what's basically been a bonus prize for walking the entire length of the river. And this wonderful opportunity, these few hours to walk across beautiful moorland. And now I've come out to this. So I'm going to stay here for a while and just enjoy it. The walk down from High Cupnick has not been a doddle. You definitely need to watch where you're putting your feet. But it's been enjoyable and it's lovely getting these different views across the valley and out over to the west. And down there ahead of me, I believe I can see Dufton. This has been a fantastic end to a brilliant day and an absolutely wonderful long distance path. When I decided to do the Teesdale Way, I thought, well, it's on my doorstep. It'll be another one to get under my belt, another long distance path to do before the winter sets in. So that'll make it 4 for 2022. That's pretty good going. Happy with that. But it's ended up being far more than that. The walk's been wonderful. There's been so much history, so much geography. It's been a fantastic experience seeing the river change as I walked alongside it from the sea and along all those wide meanders and then up into the mountains and then the waterfalls. And any lack of technical challenge in the early part was more than made up for today. That clambering over boulders alongside the river, where it's so easy to, slip and do your ankle in. And then climbing up the side of Cauldron Snout. I know I didn't walk up as close to it as I might have. Some people like to walk up right by the edge and get drenched, but that's not for me. I'll leave that to the other people. And then I end the day with High Cupnick. Like, wow, what a thing. So I'm now going to wander the last wee way into Dufton, find the pub, obviously. Hopefully there won't be a christening today. Even if there is a christening today, even if everyone's really dressed up, I don't care. I'm going to go in as I am and I'm going to have a pint because I finished my walk and I deserve it. And I'm going to enjoy it. And I'll spend these next few days, weeks, months thinking about this Teesdale Way, thinking about the other long distance paths I've done this year and planning what I'm going to do next.